Hear all of our previously aired broadcasts of News for the Soul online at newsforthesoul.com. Now let's get back to the show.
And we're back. We're still live. Yay! Cosmic Soul Activation. That's the new show you're going to hear about just now. The new host that you're introducing you to in this hour is April. So let's bring April on. Ask the famous first question and go from there. We unpeel the onion one layer at a time. From there, no planning, going with the flow. April, welcome to News for the Soul.
Hi, thank you. Love being here.
Yay! So excited. Cosmic Soul Activation. There's a lot of oomph to that title, so we'll be getting to that. But I do like to start with my famous first question because it connects us from the place that connects us all here on the authentic search for what's really real and what's really possible. And my definition of that is when you experience something, then you know. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you've just been hearing about it or hearing someone else talk about it, or it's power in the knowing, and it's something that we rarely discuss in mainstream life because we're conditioned out of it because we're weirdos if we do. So we're all weirdos here, happily so.
Yes, perfect.
Yay. So we like to talk about our direct experiences with things outside the quote-unquote 3D norm. Earliest ones that we can recall, and then the doozies that really set us on our path. I love to ask details and stuff and kind of be a fly on the wall. So what would you say your earliest recollection of something outside the 3D norm would be?
Well, I love this question, and I could go on for days talking about experiences with this. I know when I really think back early childhood, there was just, you really nailed the information. I just knew things. I couldn't talk about them because the times I would talk about them, I would be, ridiculed and just tell me that it's my imagination, that kind of thing. But the biggest thing I would love to discuss first is just how I just would go into nature, no matter where I was connecting with it. And without being told, I just knew that the birds were singing back to me. The trees were listening. I knew something was out there, but I wasn't at the time familiar with the elemental beings like fairies and the elvins and so on. I just loved animals. And we could probably all say that, but I knew that they understood me and I could feel them. And from there, it was probably really simultaneous because I've always been connected to angels. So it's not that I could ever see them. I just could feel things and I knew things. So it was never a doubt that the angels were always around me, even when something felt not okay or odd. So that was, again, I was just always told that with the angels, it was a little more accepted because I was brought up in a Christianity background. So the angels, they were okay hearing about those and me just knowing that they're around. And my mom did support me a lot with that. So I'm grateful for that. She would give me books and she would give me extra angel figurines or pictures and things of that nature. So I appreciate that. But that was really the only thing I could discuss that was not right in front of our faces. What else? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You're just going to say it's good that you had some support there.
Yeah.
I remember coming home when I was 12 and my quote-unquote adoptive parents were ripping apart my bedroom looking for witchcraft things.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
That was their response.
I was discouraged from a lot of the things because they didn't, fit into that other box. And that's okay. I know that I had that assignment coming in for a reason to experience being blocked in. Because truly, I think a lot of us here had to feel that and experience that because we're busting out of that on Earth right now. we're breaking all the paradigms, all the old programs. So I'm cool being part with that. They did what they could with my oddness. I was always questioning what we were hearing in certain circles. And listen, Star Wars came out when I was a young girl and I knew it was real. So when I would talk about certain things about the stars, they're like, okay, April, she's so cute. She's just talking about, what she saw in the movie, but I just knew it was real. It's one of those things as I was growing up.
I remember the ship. The ship is very familiar. I
Mm.
saw it in the theater when it first came out. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I went
Mm.
around. I mean, there was nobody else wearing the Princess Leia hairdos and playing with figurines and wielding the invisible lightsabers. I was the
Yeah.
only female actually doing that for sure, but I didn't even find other little guys doing that. So sometimes you just know, right?
And the whole thing about the Force, right?
Yes, that I
Right.
believed in 100 million%.
Yeah. Still do.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Now I just wield it a little better.
Ah, I love that. So, what other kind of experiences do you recall with the outside 3D norm stuff?
The other thing was that was started really early. And again, I just kept it to myself. It's if somebody was sick, I understood what was wrong with them. If somebody felt a certain way, or I could feel the frequency without understanding that that's what I was feeling, and I would explain things if someone passed away. I might say I never gave messages, but I could see that they were fine, and what at the time I considered was heaven. Right? I was like, oh, they're fine. They're running around. Their legs work great now. Um, so things like that just kept popping up in the claircognizance and clairsentience, and I knew again if I explained too much, then I'd be ridiculed. And I know a lot of people can relate to that because we're in the right audience where it's just you know things, you feel things, you may see things. I didn't see things completely. I saw things out of the corners of my eye. I'd
Mm.
see something passing across, but it was another dimension. So it didn't make sense. And if when I'd ask if anybody else saw it, they'd be like, no, you probably saw a bird fly by, things like that. So it was always just dismissed. And that's okay too, right? The other big thing is dream states were
Mm.
huge. And some of those dreams, I just knew that I lived those. And in the way I was being brought up, that was not accepted. We have one lifetime. So as I would see various things, like I was a secret agent over and over again, or I'd be flying all over the place as a human, but also as other beings, as other, not even birds. I don't even know really what kind of being I was. Now I could tune into that better. But back then it was just like, okay, again, I'm having a dream, but I knew it was real. That was the difference. And these things
Mhm.
just compound as you go. And then, like you mentioned before, you start squashing all that down into a little box that, okay, I better not bring this out. And that happened for a long time. I tuned, I turned it off as much as possible. I really turned that radio dial down
Yeah.
that I could feel people. I could still feel people, but I would try to run away from it. Does that make sense? So if I was in a situation back then and I would feel somebody or something kind of funky, I would literally just leave the room, or I'm like, I got to get out of here, or something's wrong with me because I feel anxious,
Yes.
or like all of a sudden I'm angry. Why am I angry? I'm not really angry. Well, I was picking up on somebody else's information. So I really did squash it down overall though until becoming a mom. And um, that's when everything lit up again. The big process, that was really a slow process, let's say it that way. But what really happened that woke me up again is my firstborn was a couple of months old, and his bedroom was upstairs, mine was downstairs. And I'm sure every new mom or somebody who's been a mom knows that feeling of all of a sudden you're panicked and you got to go check on your baby, your child, for whatever reason. And I ran up the stairs, and as soon as I got there were five angels all around him.
Ooh.
And I couldn't see them like a human in front of me. I'm not one that saw them completely. I could see their outlines. I could see them moving. But this immense love came over me and this peace. And they said, we have him. We always, always have him. And nothing's wrong. He's sleeping. We're protecting him. And that's when I was like, oh, wait, okay, I can really perceive something else. Something else is going on, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting that, I mean, now you're the parent, so you're the one that can discern now, right? That was really
exactly. And I had decided right then that and no wrongness in how my parents needed to handle us as they thought best. What I decided at that point is, oh, there's something more. I need to teach however many children I have that of how to handle that and how to understand more. So, you know, I didn't know how at the time because things started turning back on. I didn't know how to tune into the intuition completely and with intention like I do now. But it was a signal of many ways of saying, yes, they're watching him. Everything's well. And we are here. So I'm not crazy. Right. But the other part is, yeah, you're bringing in children who need to be able to communicate and feel and see things differently than the old earth.
You know, I was very much that way. I learned with my kids, really, just,
yes.
you know, as opposed to shutting them down. And if they told me there was a monster in my closet, I was locked, loaded, and army crawling my ass across the room going, follow me.
Yes, yes. You know? Yes, because, you know, that was the biggest thing. I always had to have like 50 stuffed animals around me because I knew there was something trying to come in through the closet. And they're like, yeah, just go back to sleep. Nothing's there. And I'm like, there's something in there. So...
You know, I just thank God the go under your blankets until you fall back asleep thing actually did work.
Right. Right.
Jesus.
Yes. I know that well. I know that one well. And there may have been something under the bed too, if you know what I mean, where I was just like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, literally. Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, I've seen some stuff and some things when I was that age, and, you know, so that's why I listened to my kids and we learned together, but, you know, getting those boundaries and discernment and learning how to control, you know, what can be around you and all that.
Yes.
We had to learn it together. It was powerful.
Yeah. I agree. That's awesome. I love that.
It is awesome. Yes, we were out there. You know, I think that we went through, like, my generation was just so shut down. You know, unless you landed in somewhere really awake, it was that was the norm, right? We all hid and stuff. But this is the place to let it all out because we all found each other here.
Yes,
this is our safe place.
And it's just time. It's so, you know, of course we know that time word is kind of a funny thing, but we are definitely needing these conversations more and more. And, you know, the last few years when people would start asking me questions, just people who I didn't think were really open to that other information, people are opening up to more. And of course, with the disclosure and everything else going on, that is helping that we can have other types of conversations without having to shut ourselves down anymore. Of course, that's about 40 other lessons too, shutting our own selves down and, you know, sealing up our voice because we're afraid to say anything. But that was just conditioning and programming. And at least for me, a whole heck of a lot of other lifetime situations of being, you know, the old witch wound we all talk about. But it's not just that one. We get shunned for many reasons, and we learn to just hide under the blanket on the bed until it's all over, because that's how we know we can use that type of defense mechanism. I guess that's the only thing we know to do for a while.
Yeah, but you know, this is when you start comparing notes and we realize how much is the same and and I see the themes when I compare notes to all the people I've talked to in almost 30 years. And it's astounding, you know. This is serious reserch. So it's very validating when you start asking the question.
It really is. It really is. And the other part of it, which I think we could talk, you know, for hours about this as well, is is sometimes we may not have experienced that specific thing, but we're just picking it up in the field. We're just picking it up as a collective, and we're feeling that trauma. We could say that for a whole lot of different scenarios, right? But this in particular, I think most of us have had some sort of wounding on, we had some gifts, we shared those gifts, or we tried to give somebody a certain plant or energy healing or just a hug, and it helped them. And, then we died, so, or you were sent out in the middle of nowhere to live by yourself for the rest of your day. So I think so many of us in this group of people, this kind of audience, we just know what that feels like in some capacity, even in this lifetime.
Yeah. And, when you start thinking about lifetimes,
Yes,
beyond the one you're in now, that's when it gets really big and a little bit too big to bite off and chew, because it's like infinity's long.
right.
And if that's been going on, for God knows infinite amount of times, getting squished by big things after, the trauma piling upon itself, like, how do you deal with that, right?
Exactly. And there's so many of us out there now that are either trying to figure out how do we get rid of that, or people who are healing and using those modalities to help people move through that, so we can release that from our physical body and everything else. We don't have to hold on to it anymore. We don't have to carry it anywhere else. That's a farce. That was a lie. And that's my opinion. I think we were just told we had to carry it for forever. And it's, I don't want to use the word karma, but I'm going to use it because I think it gets utilized in that way. Well, you got to keep carrying that until you work it off. And really what I find is that people just get stuck in their old programs, and they don't know how to get out. And it's just a deep, deep imprint, and it can all be removed and it can all be healed.
Yeah, thank God for that. That's why we're here, to help each other with all of this,
Right.
Well, let's talk about your path to how you got to be doing what you do now. So you came in, plugged in, tuned into nature, and having this knowing, which I've had quite a few people, talk about that. It's a innate thing for some people. They were just automatically tuned in on that level. How did you get guidance to follow your path that led you here?
Well, mine was a very long process. I don't have these cute little, 2020 happened and everything snowballed and boom, here I am. But and I love that happened for people, and we all signed up for the method that we decided, right?
Yep.
The process for me, I started teaching actually fitness classes, believe it or not, when I was 12 years old.
12
And
years old.
yeah, it happened by mistake, if you know what I mean. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Where an instructor didn't show up, and I was there every week. And the lady who owned the place said, you're here every week. And I was a cheerleader and a dance choreographer. I mean, I know it was 12, but I did a lot. And she was like, you could probably teach this. I'm like, yeah, give me the tape. So I never turned back from there. But that led through time to teaching yoga. And I'll give the short version of how I got kind of where I am. Is within that yoga, I was still in the old programming of, I better not do all of the yoga training, because if I do all of the yoga training, I might learn some things that don't fit into that box where I was brought up in, and I'm going to get in trouble. And a lot of that stemmed too, because when I was 20, maybe 19, 20, I had severe panic attacks. And my mom, thank goodness, led me to a person who I could talk to, and he taught me meditation and self-hypnosis. And even with that, people were like, oh my gosh, you're talking to, demons and all kinds of other stuff. And I'm like, well, I feel pretty good, and I'm not in a panic attack when I'm meditating. So anyway, to bring all that forward, I eventually started doing yoga and teaching yoga, but I didn't take it all the way. And with some of my friends and some of the classes, eventually, if you're in the yoga community or any community like that, I feel you're eventually going to understand that there's some kind of energy healing. There's Reiki. And so I did a weekend Reiki. Now, the people who are really into their formal Reiki, I love you. And this was just a little fun thing I did one weekend. I did it online. I know, gasp. I did it online. My husband was in the hospital. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to see, what is this energy stuff even about? What is this Reiki about? I can just invest a few dollars in a weekend while I'm hanging out with him in the hospital. And I was working on him, and it was working. And the medical staff was like, how is he healing this quickly? How is he not in pain? He doesn't need as many pain meds. And this is a guy who at the time did not believe any of it, thought I was a little woo-woo wacko, but he was like, well, I'm laying here. You may as well, do whatever you're going to do. But that led me through this huge door that opened and just blew my mind, blew everything open. When I did get the attunements, even that, I wasn't being disrespectful. I promise I wasn't, but I did it on such a, oh, your Reiki attunement's going to be at such and such time on this day. And I'm like, oh man, I've got to lead. I've got to lead a field trip at the zoo with the school. So I just went to the parking lot early and did my attunement. And I thought, oh, I'll just have a nice 10-minute nap or whatever it was. And oh my goodness, there were colors, there was buzzing. I mean, my whole body was doing things. This is, if anything, that weekend. And then later on, as I did some training, just opened up the next doors. And I think for me and probably a lot of people, that's just the way it needed to occur. You learn this and now you want more. You learn the next thing and now you want more. And I just, I was doing I call it closet Reiki, closet healing for a long time. And then, the yoga people, they would always come over. But if it was like a friend or family member, I was like, shh, don't tell anybody I'm doing this. Like, just come over and we'll work on you. So, that's just the world I was in, because already my family and some, other circles were just like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? It was very condemning,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
there,
I got to ask two questions before you move us forward. This, by the way, constitutes a doozy. And I've had a lot of people describe their experience. Reiki is a very common introduction to the real blown open stuff. And I've heard a lot of similar stories to yours, working on someone like their husband who happens to be sick and no one's really expecting much. And then, wow, I have to ask about the panic attacks you had that got you into the place of, even knowing about it, that sort of led you there. What was the nature, if you don't mind talking about those? Was it being, overly conscious and trying to live that way, or what was it?
The anxiety? Is that what you? Well, I didn't know it was anxiety, but I was at college. I was away at college. I was alone, which didn't bother me at all. But I'd be walking across campus and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. I felt dizzy. I felt like my heart would be racing, like I was about to have a heart attack. And I was studying fitness and biology and how the body works, and also how to breathe and get your heart rate down. And I couldn't get that heart rate down at all. So I honestly thought it was something else, like a disease, an illness, heart, how could I have a heart thing? I work out all the time. I eat the right things. And so I did get into the doctor right away, and they're like, oh, nothing's wrong, which is a whole couple of decades of me going to doctors about all kinds of things. Oh, nothing's wrong. Keep going, honey. But yeah, so because of that, they were like, nothing's wrong. Why don't you go see a psychologist, and maybe you just need to talk some things out. And at the time, really, I honestly thought I didn't have anything to talk about. I mean, what am I going to talk about? Of course, that's kind of funny, really. But it's just plowing through, and I was high on life, I thought, because I was finally in college. I was doing my own thing, studying what I want to study, building my new life. But I needed to talk to somebody. And the very first thing he did after we had our first conversation, but he led me through how to do self-hypnosis. And those tapes were everything. He never told me, hey, you're just taking on this much, or you're stressed about it. He never put words into my mouth. Looking back, I'm sure that I was more stressed than I would have admitted, even though I thought, I'm just so excited to be on my own and doing my own thing. Who knows? Quite frankly, I probably need to go revisit that, don't I? I probably need to heal that little girl. Because really that little girl was carrying so much trauma from growing up, and just shoving it down in all the places. I didn't know that then.
Like a pivotal piece, that's what steered you in the right direction ultimately.
Really? Yeah, truly. I didn't see it that way at the time. And I just brought up that, like a lot of us in that generation of, you just do everything yourself and you keep going, and you don't ask for help. Everything's fine. Just put on your happy face. And that's what I did. The little cheerleader I was just going to pretend like everything was fine. We're fine. I was not fine. I was not fine.
But look at the beauty of the synchronicity of the universe, where it got you to where you were more than fine.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I needed to trudge through some stuff to realize I had to look for answers in different places. And that is what led me here. That's ultimately what led me here. I got all kinds of illnesses when my boys were young, and they made no sense. Again, the doctors could make no sense of it. Like, why do you have this? And I was doing all the health things. I was teaching people, I was a health coach, a fitness coach. I was teaching people, hey, this is how you eat. This is how you work out. As long as you do those things, you're going to be fine. You should be healthy. Well, we know that it's not accurate at this point in time, but that's what we had. And that's what I knew. And the doctors too, they certainly, the majority of them, I would say 98% of them back then, did not speak about other avenues of healing.
Still don't.
Right. So I had to find that myself. And truth be told, if I would not have gone down my own health demise, I wouldn't be here. If everything was just fine, if I just kept, and maybe I would have had some other kind of trauma or tragedy to pull me into this point. We know how that works too. We have all those pieces in our lives that we set up. Okay, if this one doesn't work, we're going to do this. If that one doesn't work, we're going to do this. But she's got to get to that point. This is the purpose of her life. So with that, I just know that my health had to fall apart, which is, the health is what I was all about.
See, that's a very common story I hear too, as well. It's not because we figured stuff out. It's because everything went to hell in a handcart.
Right.
We had to push outside our box, right?
Right.
So that's amazing. Very cool. So how would you sort of summarize where you've arrived to? Like, what is it that your purpose and your unique piece is to bring?
Well, ultimately, I know now, even with the plethora of fun modalities that I've put into my toolbox, I'm truly here to guide light workers and star seeds to who they are. I'm here to give them a roadmap, and not for me to tell them where they're going, but more like, hey, here's your map, here's your blueprint, here's where you've been, here's some of the experiences you've had, here's your gifts. I can see, how do we activate those in a bigger way and help you move forward in your earth mission? that can be done in so many ways. And the only way I like to explain it is it's in layers. And, we've done things for decades, some of us, and you try to do it all in an hour. That's really, let's just be real, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. So what I like to say is that you go to a starting point, and if a person comes to me these days, they're finding out where else have they lived, or where are they living now. That's a whole different topic. What are our other aspects? What kind of gifts from those aspects, from those other lifetimes, can I initiate, activate, upgrade into right now? And just more understanding, because the majority of the people that have come to me, or do come to me, or inquire, are looking like, I don't even know why I'm here. What am I even doing here? They felt uncomfortable their entire lives, right? Like a lot of us feel odd and just left out, or just don't know where to go, and why am I even here in the first place? But then you start getting this bigger sensation of, with everything that's happening and how the earth is changing, and how many codes and changes are coming in to help us all. And now people really are, oh, well, I'm different for a reason. I really am different. I may have lived off of this planet prior to even being here. So I really help people find those answers. Or if they've had a health situation, that's the other thing. Now we can talk about how we might have something from this lifetime and then come down to the root cause and remove it. We can talk about looking at past lives, paralives, other types of lifetimes, and finding out the root cause might have been 10 lifetimes back in Egypt, So we can talk about that. But what I'm seeing more and more is that we're carrying pieces before we even came on this planet as any type of being. And so I help people navigate that and pull it out at the root. And it gives them such an aha, like, oh my gosh, I don't need that shoulder pain anymore. It wasn't because I fell off my bike when I was 6 years old. And sometimes it is. Let's be real. Sometimes it is. But sometimes we implement a situation like that so we can pull it out from the root. So ultimately, everybody's really different in their needs, because we're all different. But my purpose is if it's one-on-one or in courses, anything like that, then I'm helping people activate. I'm helping them elevate and upgrade, and so they can live their life to their fullest potential and healthiest. Because even though I don't proclaim to be a full health and fitness coach anymore, it never leaves. I'm always able to tune into a person's body and say, I'm not prescribing anything or telling you what to do, but your body is literally asking me to tell you to eat some oranges. What you do with that information is up to you. But it can't, sometimes healing is just something that simple too, is maybe you just really do need some vitamin C, So more like, I call myself a quantum detective, a meta programmer. We remove a lot of things. We reprogram the system, because we're energetic beings and we're computers.
Yes, we are indeed. Which is a whole other conversation.
I know. Write down about 20 conversations that we can have later.
Exactly. So let's go bigger picture first. So we're in weird times right now. I mean, unprecedented times. People are challenged in areas they haven't been challenged in ever before, or maybe ages before, and we're just kind of revisiting. Stuff is coming up all over the place for us to clear.
Yeah.
What are you seeing with trends that your clients are coming to you with?
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I do feel collectively we are removing so much fear around everything. And a big part of that is fear of safety. And that can go back to a little bit of the earlier conversation, is the fact that we've had so many reasons to fear something in our lives. Yes, part of that's programming, and we've been stuck in it and all the loops. But the other part is that we've had so many traumatic events, and now we don't even know why we're scared sometimes. That's is what happened to me. I was so anxious.
Mm.
And when everybody else is like, you have nothing to be anxious about. Well, that's baloney, but that's okay. But yeah, so a lot of the safety aspects, definitely you're seeing it with so many healers and leaders out there in the metaphysical community, that we really are collectively, now I say collectively because every single person who comes to me right now has these at some level, getting our voice back, letting go of all that lower vibrational emotional trauma, and learning to really be ourselves. And I had to learn to be myself. I had to learn not just who I was, but to fully be myself and not be scared of it. Right. I think that's part of where the fear is for a lot of people. It's like, oh my gosh, well, if I act like that, or if I step into that role, then what? So that's really where I'm seeing a lot of it. The other part is, and I am seeing this so much, is and it's not just women, it's men, because we all have energetically parts in our reproductive system, in our reproductive area. So as we're moving into this more feminine flow on this planet, we're having to heal all those wounds within the reproductive system. We have to clear that out. And along with that, a lot of the information I'm getting when I work with Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, is we're all healing her womb as well, if you will. Her womb's clearing, every person's womb's clearing. And it's going to take some work. But so on an individual level, a lot of that anger and confusion and frustration, those abandonment feelings, a lot of that's hanging out down in our reproductive zone. Of course, our liver, they hang out in a lot of organs. But I'm just finding that this is such a pivotal time for us to, it's all wrapped up together, right? So we're coming, grabbing our voice, grabbing our authentic selves, clearing out all the gunk out of our bodies, but especially from the reproductive zone, that root energy center, the sacral, the solar, all that lower, and it comes into the heart. So really, are we clearing it all? Sure, we're clearing it all. But those are the main themes that it seems like if we're all kind of chipping away at it. Here's the beauty of it, is that as each one of us is working on ourselves, it really works on everybody collectively. It's not that every single person has to have that, put any type of pressure on themselves, like, oh my gosh, I have to clear my heart, so I clear the collective, I'm not doing my part. No, it just happens naturally. It really does happen naturally. And you can have intention to send that healing out to everyone who needs it across the planet, if that makes you feel good, and it does help. But ultimately, when you're taking care of yourself and you're loving yourself, which that right there is a huge theme, is everybody needs to learn how to love themselves again. They just do. And it comes up over and over and over again with, I don't know, I feel like every teacher, every channeler, everybody, because we need to love ourselves.
Interesting. Do you know if this is part of the cause behind the drop in birth rate on the planet?
Well, you know what? That's very interesting. Part of it, I feel like I think it's a couple of things. This is just my opinion. I believe part of that is very 3D, and there's some things that shouldn't be put into bodies. And that's a bunch of things. That's not just one. So we're not going to assume any one particular thing. I do feel that there is a lot we need to detoxify energetically and physically. That could be a whole conversation. Where I also feel is that there's all these new souls coming in. And the new souls are very high vibrational. And it's very challenging to come into a 3D body.
Mm.
Now it was hard for all of us at one point. Let's be real. But this is a different group. This is more volunteers, if you will. That's similar to how Dolores Cannon talks about that, the 3 waves of volunteers. We could refer to it to that for ease. But this next group, all these young ones now, it's very intense to be high vibrational and then pop in to that 3D womb. So I think we're going to be in a transition with that. That's my opinion. That's the information I've received on the level of communicating with Gaia.
That's my earliest memory, by the way, of something outside the 3D norm is popping into the womb.
Wow, I love that.
I don't know if I do, but
well,
but I remember
I love it. You remember it. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's something. And I remember literally what position I was in, what energy I was in, and it was like I was reporting in, saying, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't know who I was reporting to. And then right after that, the nanosecond later, if that long, I remembered that there's only one way out and it's less than pleasant.
Oh, my gosh, that's great.
And then the very next nanosecond, I remembered, oh yeah, I'm severely claustrophobic. And then went right into that. Yeah. So those are my very first memories.
Maybe that's why a lot of us are claustrophobic. I never really thought about that.
Right? Yeah. I had this happen when I went into sweat lodges too, which I found out later was representation of the re-entering the womb. It's exact identical fear. I have to kind of dig down and surrender in the sand, and I go through it.
Listen, that's intense. I admit, I'm like, that's on my list, but whoo, I don't know. That's impressive. I'm going to say it because I want to do that, but I'm like, that makes me think. Like, I know that there are times I've tuned into my own coming in and being birthed, and I've blocked my own self on that. I know that it was a very stressful, I know my mom had a very stressful time. And when I felt that energy, I pulled right back out from even witnessing it. So it does make me wonder, is that why I'm so claustrophobic in certain situations?
I bet you a lot of people haven't thought of that. We've just all gone to like past lives of cave-ins or something,
I just assumed, oh, maybe I was stuck in a crack in a cave. Yeah.
I mean, thinking if you go from being a beam of light into this trapped 3D, very cramped space that you cannot get out of for a very long time, right? Think about that. It makes sense, really.
Well, and I've talked to something I did not expect to be able to do. Just all these things kind of turn on, right? A lot of young moms come to me and they're expecting or they're working on that. And something super interesting is the souls who are coming in will talk to me. Even when they're in the womb and they're like, they're getting ready to be birthed. It's really interesting to hear how they are presenting themselves. Like they're super excited, right? Like when they haven't come in at all. So it's like, like all of us, like, oh my gosh, we're going on a journey. This is gonna be so great. But like you said, you get there and it's like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
what's going on here? Yeah.
The lesser fun side just immediately became all in my face.
And then you just forget all that awesomeness you just came from.
I know. It was instant. It was like, we have to get squished by big things in the end. This is terrible. What were we thinking?
Anyway. You've got me thinking though. I'm gonna look into that. I think we better revisit that whole cave versus I don't know, we're kind of are stuck in a cave. If you think about being birthed, it is a cave. Coming out of a cave.
I mean, I literally remember the momentary transition from yay to ew.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean,
a beautiful experience.
Panic too, right?
I can only imagine there are more and more people remembering, even like especially right now as little ones, as babies, like, oh my gosh, I am here on Earth. It's that. Can you imagine not being able to to talk or communicate with any way that your parents can understand, but you remember where you came from. Like, that's bizarre.
I can't imagine. Yeah, it's interesting, and as you said, they're coming in more awake in every
Yeah,
generation, I think, as well.
definitely.
And
Well, that's what I'm seeing anyway.
oh my God, I could talk to you forever. We've only got like 10 minutes left. This is ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about what you perceive doing on future shows. Let's discuss that.
Well, I really want to get the information out there to people on starseeds and how to tap into your information, your own personal information. Another big part of my mission here is to help people connect with beings right here on Earth or inner Earth, the elementals, but also beyond. So, how do we tune in and have a friendly conversation, heart to heart, and start seeing things opening up to more things? It's going to help everybody. As the disclosure, in my opinion, of course, they're showing things out there. We know that. But a lot of the action's really going to be us, is us connecting. The real contact's happening with us. And so that's a big piece of what I'm here to do. Is I can connect, I can communicate. And that all started when I was in sessions, quite frankly. I'd be in sessions and all of a sudden beings would come through and they're like, oh, let me come over. I'm one of her family and I'd like to run energy through her to help with this healing. And I'm like, what? So that's really how I started connecting. But then through the years, I would add other tools. And of course, I did the CE5 and by Dr. Stephen Greer. If anybody doesn't know that, I highly recommend going to play with that. But so, yeah, I want to talk about all that. I want to talk about the different star seeds, bring in other people who either understand those types of star seeds or work with various people with different modalities, and just let people expand on the information out there on how you can have various types of healings with galactics.
Galactics.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define galactics?
That's a good question. Really, I think of galactics, we can just define that as being off planet. Let's just say that they're off planet, because we have plenty of friends right here too who are willing to help us. They're here all the time. Of course, the angels are always around. And there's quite a bit going on in inner Earth that we're going to really find out a lot more about very soon. I really feel that's going to be very soon. That it's just going to be common knowledge that, oh, okay, that turns out there are people down there or different types of beings.
You think about it, it's already common knowledge that, the ships were here and they neatly trying to change it from UFOs to UAPs so they can sound, different and, come on.
Yeah.
It's been here the whole bloody time and they're not making, they're not contradicting that anymore. So obviously someone was driving the things, right? So.
I get that. Yeah. I mean, we're just at a point where we have to make a lot of those who would not be comfortable more comfortable. I mean, it's not our responsibility to make everybody feel a certain way. I'm just saying, I kind of get where they might need to change some terminology or kind of trickle out some of the information they really do have. But ultimately, I believe the contact is more about us saying, okay, I'm ready. I'm removing the fear about it. Of course, we want to call in only friendly beings of any type, whether they're here or inner Earth or off planet. But there's just so many here to help us and want to be called upon. And we all know, I feel like this audience knows, they will not help unless we ask. That goes along with our higher self, that goes with our spiritual team, that goes with anybody just hanging out there. We've got to ask. We got to boldly ask.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the thing. It's got to be a conscious endeavor. I guess this makes why it makes me nervous on a mainstream mass scale still, because I think a lot of people aren't ready. I mean, they're ready to murder people because they're more beige than they are. How are they going to do it? Like an actual entity from outer
Yep.
space. You know what I mean? God.
Well,
But
I think that's what they are waiting on too, is the
probably,
fact
right?
that, well, first of all, if a lot of them, and if any of them came just and landed right here, their vibration is so much higher, so different that our bodies and our fields are going to take that in a way that is not healthy for the majority of the people on this planet.
Mm,
Even if they're like, oh, I really want to hang out with the Pleiadians, come on down. If they came right in front of you and there's this vibrational difference, it's going
right?
to bring up all kinds of crap out of us where it's like, oh my God, like what's going on? Yeah.
You know,
So
people
there's
say
that.
that, but I always thought,
Yeah.
do you really?
Yeah,
Like, really?
exactly. I mean, I say that. Now, listen, I've had some wild experiences where I know they're right there, and my body being prepared and doing meditations a certain way and calling them in. There's times my physical body will just shake like it's hanging out in the snow in Antarctica or something. It's
Mm,
so different, and they haven't even come right beside me as far as a full body, right? Their interdimensional, other dimensional body may have like touched down a little bit just for me to get used to it. And this happened in Sedona, um, a really big situation like that. Maybe it shouldn't be a situation. It was such a blessing. I loved it. But I was just like, wow, imagine, and this isn't coming from the ego. This is just being like, this is science. Like if beings came down, if a ship came down, whether we think we're prepared for it or not, a lot of times our human body is not ready for that. Um, so yeah, between the propaganda that's gone on for a long, long time,
right. All the
and then the fact,
movies. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, the agenda of like let's make everybody scared. We don't want to see any of that stuff, but we're coming around. But the
Yeah.
other part is, yeah, like what I've heard from other collectives, actually, other galactic collectives, they're like, we want to, and we respect that there's interest, and this is a start. The biggest thing is the majority of the planet can't get along right now with people who mostly look the same, you know.
I know.
So we got a little work.
I know. Being a little more
Gosh,
beige than the other guy throws him
yeah,
off. Like, this is really gonna,
yeah.
giant 8-foot ant man is really gonna
Oh
be
my
causing
gosh,
problems.
yeah.
Oh,
People would
God,
lose. Really, I
right?
think they would lose their
Yeah.
minds. I really do think they would.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny because that was one of my other doozies. I ended up in the middle of nowhere in Peru, and long story short, one time when you're doing this topic, I'll play you my UFO encounter
Mm.
with our large group of people
Oh
that I
yes.
instigated by the psychic connection with aliens. Which, as a journalist, that's just, I never got over that, obviously. It was one of the
Love.
most biggest things I ever, experienced. But it was very high vibration up until the end,
Yeah.
anyway. And, when I got back on my own ground. I can't tell me how many times I put the kids in the car and we're going out to like better lighting situations and country roads to look for the blinky
Yeah.
things. 'Cause,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really something important, and I recognize that.
What a blessing. Oh, yeah, I'm excited to
But I
see
got
that.
the audio recording of it. It's hilarious. So I'll play it for you next time. Whenever you're talking about
Yeah,
galactics, we're ready.
definitely. I love it. We'll do that.
Oh my God, we're already at the top of the hour. Okay, here's what we gotta do.
Okay.
Shameless self-promotion. Let's do that. I think we got the gist and overview today.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun and covered a lot of ground, but let's get the shameless self-promotion overview of everything that you have on offer, so people get a really clear idea of, the benefits of connecting with you.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, because we can go deeper in all this some other time. So if you
Yes.
are interested in finding out uh, mysteries in your own life, or you want to find out, are you a star seed? What other lifetimes have you had here, even on Earth, maybe as other dimensional beings? Like, let's get together. Look at my website, go to my socials, let's play around and see if we're a fit at all. And I'd love to have you. That's it. We can do some healing. We'll do a journey. We always do a healing journey and bring in your teams. Uh, we bring in the angels, whoever is ready to come forward, and you are ready to have come forward. It's all mutual and loving and perfect.
Oh, this has been such fun. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that we don't have to wait a whole month for your next show, a couple of weeks, thank God. And we'll pick it up where we left off, and I'll be here with you to help, and whatever happens. So I'm super excited that you're here. And April is all linked up, by the way, at newsforthesoul.com. My dog is having a conniption distraction. Get up here. Jeez, what are you doing?
Say hi.
Newsforthesoul.com. He's like, okay, I know you're done. He does. He knows I'm done. Okay. Yeah, almost finished.
Love it.
So yes, let's do that. Let's pop in a couple of weeks and check in and send me an email with your topic, and I'll be here with you next time, April. And yeah,
beautiful.
Interesting couple of weeks in the meantime.
Appreciate all of you.
Yay.
Thank you.
April, how fun was that? Okay, so she's all linked up at newsforthesoul.com. We've got something out of the archives next, I do believe, and right after this little reset break.